What's up everyone? It is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is super exciting because we are going to be talking about some best practices for working as a paralegal legal assistant at a law firm. So a little bit about me. I graduated from UC Berkeley in 2020, where my first post-grad job right out of college was at an IP law firm where my title was an intellectual property assistant. And then after 1 year as an IP assistant, I was promoted to a paralegal at this same law firm. So it was definitely a speedy promotion. Other IP assistants at this law firm, it might take 2 or 3 years, and then they would also be promoted to paralegals. So I've been at my current firm for almost 2 years now, except a little bit spoiler alert, I think my next video after this one will be a big announcement regarding this IP law firm job. So stay tuned for that, and let's get into this video. So my first big tip for working at a law firm, you want to take a lot of notes. Have your notebook ready, have your paper and pencil ready, taking notes not just during the set orientation and training times, but I feel like I am constantly learning new things, learning how to make processes more efficient, and then I can take my notes on them. For me, I have this one subject notebook. All of my notes are in here from this job. It is practically full. I literally have like 1 page left here at the end. So I was taking handwritten notes during training, and then maybe you type up the notes or rewrite the notes after your training sessions. So all of that information gets into your head. Compared to now, I've been helping to train new hires at my current firm, and then sometimes they are not taking any notes, so they don't remember all of the steps of the processes that I'm training them on. So you really want to try to make your notes as detailed and in-depth as possible. And taking notes is also super important. At my current firm right now, they've even asked me to compile my best practices into different how-to guides. So they've really liked the work that I've been producing, that they've asked me to create these legacy documents to help pass down to new hires. My next tip would be to ask a lot of questions, but also try to figure something out on your own before you're asking the question. I feel like when I first started as an IP assistant at this IP law firm, I got that training, but after the training, when I started to do things on my own, a lot of the job is learning on your own, because even though you're trained on a specific thing, once you're doing it on your own, something might come up, errors might come up that were different from training, because typically you are being trained on the best case scenario, but for a lot of these law firm practices, so many different things could happen that isn't that best case scenario that you were trained on. So for me, when I first started, definitely I was trying to figure things out on my own, because you don't want to be that person constantly asking the same questions over and over again. But after I spent time trying to figure something out on my own, then if I still couldn't find an answer, like using the internet, looking back through my notes, looking back through emails or other training documents that I received, then I would reach out to my supervisor to ask the question. And I think asking questions is super important, especially for something if you are very, very confused about it. You should ask the question, because it would be much more detrimental if you were confused and you sat there in silence, if you didn't ask the questions to clarify your confusion, and then you ended up filing something incorrectly or doing a process incorrectly because you weren't sure what to do and then you didn't ask questions about it. So you don't want those silly mistakes where it could have been cleared up by asking a question, but also try to do some of your own research first before asking the questions. The next tip I think is so huge when you're working at a law firm, and that is to be organized. If you have watched any of my college videos from back in the day, I feel like I learned a ton from going through college about time management, organization skills that have transferred over into my current job. So how you stay organized can be different for every different person. For me, I like to create a document on my computer that basically helps me keep track of every single deadline that we have. I write my to-do lists on my document, so outlining, okay, here are the deadlines, here is what I need to get done today. I write myself reminders on there, so like, okay, reach out to this attorney, follow up with this person to make sure you don't forget anything, because chances are at these law firms you are probably going to be juggling many different balls, and you really don't want any tasks to fall through the cracks because you weren't organized and maybe missed a deadline, or maybe forgot to send something or file something. That would be not good, because you should be keeping track of all of your tasks and deadlines. Another tip for working at a law firm as a paralegal legal assistant is to try to anticipate your attorney's needs. So this is not something you would know day one, but after you've worked with this attorney for a little bit, you get more comfortable in your role, you get to know your attorney's working style a little bit more, then hopefully after some time, you would be able to start to anticipate the attorney's needs on certain projects so that they don't always have to ask you, hey, can you do this? But instead, you took the initiative and you already drafted that document for the attorney's review and approval, because you know in cases like this, that document is already needed. They didn't need to ask you for that document. And this is not to say, oh, go behind their back and do things without their review and approval, but you always need to get their review and approval on the tasks that you are doing. Currently, I am assisting 4 different attorneys, so at your job, it might be a 1 attorney, 1 paralegal ratio, or it could be 1 paralegal, 1 legal assistant, assisting a couple of different attorneys. The next tip would be to double check and triple check all of your work. This tip is also very important, similar to staying organized and on top of all of your tasks. As a paralegal working with attorneys, I double check, triple check all of my work to make sure that there are no errors, spelling mistakes, grammar issues, any other kind of issues on the documents that I am drafting. So when I send it to the attorney for their review and approval, it makes their job easier because I produce quality work. They know that they can trust my work. And then for me, working at an IP law firm, we file a lot of patent applications with the USPTO. So I draft the documents, send them to the attorney for their review. They review the documents and sign all of the documents. Then it's up to me to file these documents at the USPTO. Even though these documents have already been checked before filing at the USPTO, I like to double check them once more, because once you file something at this government agency, it can be difficult to get it fixed because you've already filed it. It is already on record. So trying to make sure all of these documents, all of my work is correct, there are no errors, and double, triple checking it even right before I hit submit on the USPTO website. So my next tip, it works in the law firm field, but it also works in any kind of job that you're having, would be to spell everything out in email. For example, for me right now, an attorney might Skype message me or call me on the phone asking a question or requesting a task or edits to be made. Because it happened over Skype or the phone, there is no written email proof that that conversation occurred. So after conversations like that, then usually myself or the attorney would confirm and write it out via email, just to have that written communication in your file wrapper, in your email inbox, in the document saving system that your firm uses. And I think it's just helpful to be more careful, be on the safe side of getting everything in writing, just in case something were to happen, but also having that email saved in your document wrapper. If someone else was looking at this matter, at this case, and they were confused, oh, what is happening? Why does this look this certain way? Then they can see that email was saved there, and they can see, oh, this attorney asks for it to look look this certain way. They won't be coming to you asking you those questions, but because that email, those instructions were saved, then they would be able to check it out on their own. Similarly, going off of that tip, my next tip would be to confirm receipt and confirm acknowledgement via email. So this is super helpful and important. Say an attorney emails you something and they're asking you to complete a task. Even though I know, oh, I've seen this email, I read it, I will always email and respond back saying, hi, I've received your email, I will work on this today, or I will work on this XYZ. Give them a time frame of when you're working on it and when you're going to send the completed task back to them. So then the attorney or the person who emailed you, they know, okay, Rachel has seen this email, she is working on it. Compared to if you just get emails but you don't respond to them, an attorney has assigned you a task but you don't confirm or acknowledge receipt of that email, they might be confused or frustrated because you haven't responded to them, and then they'll have to spend more of their time emailing you again, following up, oh, did you get my email? Are you working on this task? This is an urgent task. So for me, I think best practice is an attorney emails me something, I will always email back confirming receipt of that email and giving them a time frame of what I am working on. Basically just trying to keep the attorney in the loop for all of the tasks that I'm working on with them. Next tip would be flexibility and being a team player. Like I've alluded to, at these law firms, you're probably going to have a lot of tasks, a lot of competing deadlines where you need to prioritize different tasks based off of the importance, different deadlines. And so having flexibility is very important because you can't just go in, okay, today is Monday, I want to get XYZ completed, because chances are that to-do list you start with at the beginning of the day, random tasks might come up that are more important, that might bump your to-do list down, or you're doing some task and it takes a lot longer than you expected and then you couldn't complete all of the things that you wanted to get done today. So it is very important to be flexible. You don't want to get completely bent out of shape because you couldn't stick to your to-do list, but being flexible, very important. Also being a team player is important. Sometimes you might have to help other paralegals with their tasks if they're super swamped. So as a team player and being flexible, you don't want to just say, hey, no, I'm too busy, I can't help you with something. But within reason, you should be willing to help your fellow paralegals and also not have a bad attitude when an attorney asks you for something. Next up, you do want to try to keep up to date on the current events regarding the area of law that you're working in. So for me, in IP law, looking at the current events, the news, different cases that are coming up, looking at the USPTO website if they are making any changes for patent applications. Similarly, for other areas of law, the law can be always changing, different things coming out, so you do want to stay up to date, see how these new changes might affect you and your position in the law that you are working with. You will be extra knowledgeable about the field that you're working in, and it's not like this news is plastered on the front page of the web, but it's something you might have to dig a little bit deeper to look for and find, and then that reading knowledge can probably help improve the work that you are producing. And finally, I would say for my last tip is to not be too stressed out about your job. Like I mentioned, some weeks are super hectic, super busy, staying till like 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. at night, where there are a ton of things happening, a ton of filings, a ton of moving parts, and those times can be very stressful. And so for me, I try to not get too stressed about something after work. I try not to think about work things, because at the end of the day, sure, maybe it's a job that you really love and you really enjoy, but also it is just a job. You shouldn't be crying about it every day. You shouldn't be so stressed out that you can't eat or sleep because of this job. So at the end of the day, working as a paralegal, legal assistant at a law firm, you want to put in your best effort, you want to give it your all, but you don't want to forego your mental health, your physical health, your emotional mental health for a job, any kind of job really, not just a law firm job. So yeah, those were 10 tips for working as a paralegal at a law firm. If you have any questions or other video ideas that you want to see me do, definitely leave a comment down below. If you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.